I thought I knew everything about Majora's Mask. I had played it since I was a kid. It was my favorite game. The dark world of Termina felt like a second home to me. I knew every mask, every side quest, and every character's schedule. I could beat the game in my sleep, but what I found last week changed everything. It started at a small, dusty flea market on the edge of town. I was just browsing, not looking for anything specific. Then I saw it, a gray Nintendo 64 cartridge. It had Majora's Mask written on it with a black marker. It looked old and forgotten. The man running the stall gave it to me for free. He said it was just junk. I should have listened to him. When I got home, I was excited. I blew the dust out of the cartridge just like I used to. I put it into my old Nintendo 64. The console hummed to life. The familiar opening sequence started. The creepy mask salesman stared at me from the screen. His words were the same. "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" But this time they felt different. They felt like a real question, a personal one. I started a new file. I named my character Link, like always. The game began as it should. I was trapped as a Deku scrub. The Skull Kid had stolen my ocarina. Everything was normal, or so I thought. The first few minutes were exactly as I remembered them. The first hint that something was wrong came in the clock tower. After I got my ocarina back from the Skull Kid, I played the Song of Time. The screen flashed, the world reset. But when I appeared in front of the clock tower again, something was off. The music was gone. There was only a low humming sound. The sky was a strange shade of purple, not the usual blue of the first day. The happy NPCs of South Clocktown were nowhere to be seen. The whole area was completely empty. It felt like a ghost town, a silent stage after the play had ended. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't a glitch I had ever heard of. I tried to leave South Clocktown. I ran towards the exit to Termina Field, but an invisible wall blocked my path. I couldn't get out. I tried all the exits. East Clocktown was blocked. West Clocktown was blocked. North Clocktown was blocked too. I was stuck in this empty, silent version of the town. The only door that would open was the one back into the clock tower. I didn't want to go back in there, but I had no other choice. The silence was getting to me. It felt heavy and watchful. Reluctantly, I pushed open the large wooden doors and stepped back into the darkness of the tower. I felt like I was walking into a trap. Inside the clock tower, the strange humming was louder. It seemed to be coming from below. The happy mask salesman was gone. His usual spot was empty. The dim light from the clock face cast long, creepy shadows across the room. I felt a sense of dread wash over me. This was not the game I remembered. This was something else. Something broken. I walked towards the back of the room, near where the door to the roof usually is. But there was another door there now. A small wooden door that I had never seen before. It wasn't supposed to be there. It had no handle, just a small keyhole. I felt a pull towards it. A morbid curiosity I couldn't fight. I checked my inventory. I had nothing. No keys, no items, just my Deku mask. I walked up to the strange door and pressed the A button. To my surprise, a text box appeared on the screen. It didn't have any words. It was just a blank white box. After a few seconds, the box disappeared. Then I heard a faint click. The door creaked open just a little bit. A dark hallway was visible beyond it. I knew I shouldn't go in. Every instinct told me to turn off the console and throw the cartridge away. But I couldn't. It was like the game was daring me to continue. I had to know what was behind that door. I moved Link forward into the darkness. The hallway was long and narrow. The walls were made of the same cold stone as the clock tower. There were no torches or lights. The only thing I could see was the faint outline of Link. The humming sound was very loud now. It vibrated through my controller. I kept walking forward. It felt like I was walking for minutes. The hallway didn't seem to end. I started to think it was just a loop, a glitch designed to trap me forever. I was about to turn back when I saw something at the end of the hall. A faint light. Hopeful, I urged Link onward, moving faster towards the distant glow. As I got closer, I realized the light was coming from another room. I stepped through the opening. The room was small and square. In the center of the room was a single object. It was a stone statue. It looked like Link, but it was twisted and wrong. The statue was crying. Black tears seemed to flow from its empty stone eyes. The statue was facing away from me. I slowly walked Link around to the front of it. When I saw its face, I felt sick. The statue didn't have Link's face. It had my face. It was a perfect stone replica of me, frozen in an expression of pure terror. The game knew what I looked like. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. How could this be possible? It was just a game. It couldn't know me. I wanted to turn it off. I reached for the power button on the console, but my hand was shaking too much. The statue just stood there, crying its black tears. Then another text box appeared. This time it had words. "You shouldn't have done that," it said. The text was in a creepy, jagged font. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. What had I done? I just played the game. What was it talking about? Suddenly, the screen flashed white. When the image returned, I was no longer in the secret room. I was back in South Clocktown. Everything looked normal again. The music was back. The sky was blue. People were walking around, going about their business. It was the first day, just as it should be. For a moment, I thought it was all a bad dream, a weird glitch that had fixed itself. I felt a wave of relief. Maybe the cartridge was just old and buggy. I decided to ignore what had happened and just play the game. I started my rounds collecting masks and completing quests. I helped the bombers with their password. I listened to Anju's problems at the Stockpot Inn. It all felt so familiar and safe, but the feeling of being watched never left me. The strangeness started again on the second day. I noticed that some of the NPCs were missing. The postman wasn't on his route. The guards at the exits were gone. At first, I didn't think much of it. But as the day went on, more and more people disappeared. By nighttime, Clocktown was nearly empty again. The only person I could find was the girl from the bomb shop. She was just standing in the middle of the square, staring blankly ahead. When I tried to talk to her, she just said, "He is coming." Her voice in the game sounded distorted and low. I asked who was coming, but she just repeated the same words over and over. By the final day, Clocktown was completely deserted. The sky was red and ominous. The moon with its horrifying face loomed overhead. But there was no panic. No one was screaming or running. There was just a dead silence. The music was gone again, replaced by that low, unsettling hum. I felt a deep sense of isolation and fear. It was like the game was erasing itself, one character at a time. I was the only one left. The game was no longer about saving the world of Termina. It felt like it was about me. I was the one being hunted. The terrible fate the masked salesman mentioned was not for Link. It was for me. With only hours left before the moon would fall, I didn't know what to do. The world was empty. All my quests were gone. All the people had vanished. I was alone with the humming sound and the terrifying moon. I ran to the clock tower. It was my only landmark, the center of this nightmare. I climbed to the top, hoping to confront the Skull Kid, hoping to find some kind of answer. But he wasn't there. The top of the tower was empty. I stood on the edge and looked down at the silent, dead town. The giant moon seemed to stare right at me, its burning eyes focused on my soul. It felt personal. I decided to play the Song of Time. It was my only hope. Maybe I could reset the cycle one more time and fix whatever was broken. I pulled out the Ocarina of Time. I played the notes. C right, A, C down, C right, A, C down. The notes sounded wrong. They were off-key and dissonant. The screen didn't flash. Nothing happened. The song didn't work. I was trapped in this final dying day. The moon was getting closer. The ground began to shake. The humming grew into a deafening roar. I was going to have to watch the world end. I was going to have to watch the moon destroy everything. Just as the moon was about to hit, my screen went black. For a second, I thought the game had crashed, or maybe my TV had died. But then, one last text box appeared. It was the same jagged font as before. It filled the entire screen. It said, "You can't get rid of me that easily. I'm part of you now. Look behind you." I froze. My blood turned to ice. I was alone in my room. I knew I was alone. But the game, this haunted, broken game, was telling me I wasn't. My hands were trembling. I couldn't breathe. I was too scared to turn around. But I had to. I had to know. I haven't played the game since that night. I took the cartridge out of the console and put it in a box. I buried the box in my backyard. But I can't get the feeling out of my head. The feeling of being watched. Sometimes when I'm alone, I hear a faint humming sound. I see things out of the corner of my eye. A shadow that moves too fast. A face in a dark window. I don't know what was on that cartridge, but I know it's not gone. It's still with me, somehow. So if you ever find an old game at a flea market, just leave it be. Some secrets are better left buried in the dust. You don't want to meet the same terrible fate as me.